I'm Natalie Lindo and welcome to a Business Line special brought to you from the Dubai Airshow. It's the largest aerospace trade event to be held globally and the first since the aviation industry was hit by the worst crisis in its history as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Aviation industry experts are here for the four-day event to reconnect with each other and move towards a sustainable recovery. It's seen as a positive indicator for an industry that's had a turbulent 2 years.
The world's first and largest aviation event since the pandemic has opened in Dubai. It signals the sector's rebound after a disastrous 2 years for aerospace, with the International Air Transport Association predicting the COVID-19 crisis will cost the global aviation industry €175 billion in losses between 2020 and 2022. Following a 2-year hiatus, 1,200 exhibitors are at the air show with over 85,000 visitors due to attend.
It's a signal of the aviation industry coming back together and being welcomed back in Dubai and a show of confidence for the industry.
American plane manufacturer Boeing used the event to announce it would fulfill an order to convert 11 single-aisle 737s into cargo aircraft. European rival Airbus were hot on their heels with news of an order for 255 single-aisle A321 aircraft, making the first major deal of its kind since the pandemic, worth an estimated value of more than €28.8 billion.
The order will be for 255 aircraft. All A321 model aircraft, about 128 of them are A321 Neos, and the Dallas 2728 would be A321 XLRs.
Air traffic has started to bounce back, although September figures show it remained 53% lower than pre-pandemic levels.
I thought we might have seen those figures in the summer of this year, but the Delta variant came in and poleaxed the business, took us back. But what we're seeing now is just the beginning of where we think we're going to continue to get ourselves back into the pre-pandemic situation by the summer of next year.
Airlines have slowly reopened their networks as travel restrictions gradually lift and they see a return to normality. In a promising sign of recovery, Airbus predicted that the aviation industry would require around 39,000 aircraft in the next 20 years, which would require more than 550,000 new pilots and over 710,000 highly skilled technicians to be trained. Although the industry is optimistic, one looming threat to recovery is the risk of a surge in global COVID infections leading to further lockdowns. The sentiment from the event on the whole is that the industry is robust and is turning a corner on what has been its most challenging period ever.
After 2 weeks of discussion, world leaders secured a deal for the Glasgow Climate Pact in the final hours of the COP26 summit. But just 20 kilometres away from the main event, along Glasgow's Forth and Clyde Canal, is a pioneering project which goes to the heart of what the summit was about. British canals played a key role in the 18th century industrial revolution that launched carbon emissions. And now a new smart system has been set up to counteract the effects of climate change. Glasgow played an integral role in Britain's industrial revolution, where the use of coal brought about carbon emissions, eventually contributing to climate change around the world. Today, the venue for the COP26 Environmental Summit is home to a pioneering project to counteract the effects of planetary warming. Coinciding with COP26, Europe's first smart canal was launched to combat flooding in one of Britain's wettest cities. The chief engineer of Scottish Canals said forecasts indicate that Glasgow's rainfall will rise by another 30% in the next 50 years.
We've applied 21st century thinking to an 18th century asset. So the smart part is using the data that's coming from the forecasting and then measuring the levels and the flows on the canal network, the water quality, analysing that. So it will, in advance of a flood event, lower itself behind us. So the water will leave and be in the sea before it starts raining.
The spare capacity created can then retain some of the rainwater to prevent flooding of the city centre, which is about 15 minutes away by foot. The canal was the main artery that turned Glasgow into one of the major hubs in Britain's empire before the city fell on hard times after World War II. As the steel mill, shipbuilding and finance industries declined in Glasgow, canals like the Forth and Clyde became derelict.
If we manage water well, and we manage the conduits that carry the water well, then we're starting to talk about water for well-being, water for nature, water for heating, cooling. That's actually really fundamental.
As part of Glasgow's urban regeneration project, €1.7 billion worth of money has been invested in the stretch of canal since 2002.
What we also saw is because the environment changed, people used it, the water space became a vibrant, exciting place to spend time. That has completely changed the health perspectives for people living here.
As COP26 closed with a compromise on the use of coal, the host city's waterways are taking a pioneering approach towards global warming. And finally, one of the main focuses at COP26 was reducing the carbon emissions, a complex issue in the global aviation industry, which is responsible for about 2.5% of CO2 emissions. Here at Dubai Airshow, many of the 1,200 exhibitors were focusing on embracing new technology to bring in a period of sustainability and innovation. The Airshow is the first time the industries come together, and sustainability and advancements in technology are leading the agenda. It's been a difficult 2 years for the aviation industry, but many have seen this as an opportunity to turn towards a greener and more sustainable future. Last month, the International Air Transport Association announced that the global air transport industry hopes to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Our avionics people make sure the airplanes fly as efficiently from A to B as possible. If you look at our aerostructures, we're now investing in and developing streamlined aerostructures that can operate in different temperature ranges.
Saab is one of the many exhibitors at the Airshow that have pledged to apply the UN sustainability goals.
We have joined the Race to Zero. We're set science-based targets for actually reaching the goals that are set up in there. We now look forward to the next phase where we will define exactly how to do it. There are a lot of things in this industry, given that it's so innovation-driven, that we think can be done, which we might not understand today what it will be.
Manufacturers and airlines are keen to point out that these environmentally friendly adaptations will be unnoticeable for passengers, but will be part of an ongoing journey towards more sustainable travel. That's all we have time for in this edition of Business Line, but be sure to tune in again next time for a roundup of the biggest business and investment stories from around the globe. I'll see you then.